James Gunn's The Suicide Squad hit Europe 2 weeks ago, and last week it made its debut in the US, hitting HBOMAX and coming out in theatres. The box office results are in, and it's not too good for this new DCEU entry. And of course, the Delta variant of COVID could be a big factor because cases are rising in Europe and in the US, and people may be in fear of that. But also, something that the Suicide Squad didn't have, that the first did have, was a big box office star in Will Smith. Huge IP characters like the Joker and Ben Affleck's Batman. And the Suicide Squad was missing those factors for me, and I think that's another reason why this film didn't hit with audiences, and why maybe people just weren't that interested, because it didn't have that attraction factor like the first movie. Because the actors in the Suicide Squad are very good, but they're not box office draws, and neither are these characters. King Shark, Ratcatcher, they're unknown. The Suicide Squad opens to 26.5 million as moviegoers stay home amid Delta variant. James Gunn's anti-hero pick came in behind expectations as COVID-19 cases once again rise in the US. The film also debuted on HBO Max so that fans could watch it in the comfort of their own home, and I have some more statistics for you. The Suicide Squad opened at number 1 on Friday at the box office with 12.15 million, including Thursday pre-shows. The cinema score was a B+. Full weekend for already picked looks headed to 26 to 28 million neighborhood, which will be well below 39 million opening day of PG-13 Black Widow that opened a month ago. Both had streaming options. So that was the projection for the Suicide Squad, between 26 and 28 million. That's exactly what happened, because it made 26.5 million. I remember projections a few weeks ago that the Suicide Squad might open to $30 million or even more at the box office. So this is a bit of a downer for Warner Brothers and for James Gunn, considering that the box office seemed to be getting somewhat better with Fast and Furious and Black Widow, but those are huge IP characters and brands. The top opening weekends for HBO Max and Warner Brothers release strategy is this: 31 million for Godzilla v Kong, 31 million for Space Jam, 26 million for The Suicide Squad, 24 million for The Conjuring 3, 23 million for Mortal Kombat, 16 million for Wonder Woman 84, and 14 million for Tom and Jerry. That's the opening weekend box office. Considering that, The Suicide Squad did pretty well for itself, considering Space Jam is a family-friendly movie and Godzilla vs. Kong is an epic type that you have to go to the theaters to see. And remember, The Suicide Squad was R-rated as well. Luis Fernando goes, apart from its 26.6 million in the US, The Suicide Squad grossed 35 million in its second weekend overseas, also underperforming industry's 40 million projections, where it debuted in 60 additional markets for a 45.7 million cum internationally. The Suicide Squad reached a 72.2 million global cum at the box office. Not that good, considering the box office is, well, it seemed to be getting back right, and the Suicide Squad budget was 185 million, and I read today that the marketing for the Suicide Squad was 100 million. So overall, the Suicide Squad cost 285 million. And to make a profit, you need to get double that at the box office, or sometimes even 3 times that. So, but considering this movie did open up on HBO Max as well, it might be a little bit of an improvement for Warner Brothers, because also it did pretty well on HBO Max. Luis Fernando goes, strongholds UK and France despite only vaccinated allowed in France theaters. Top 10 markets for the Suicide Squad globally at the box office. You got the US and Canada 26. UK is 10, Russia 4, France 3, Korea 2, Germany 2, Mexico 2, Brazil 1.5, Spain 1.3, and Saudi Arabia is 1.2. Interesting to see that breakdown from each country there as well. But the film was pretty good, but I just don't think it had that attraction, like a Jared Leto's Joker or Will Smith or Ben Affleck's Batman, because the marketing for the very first Suicide Squad was really, really good. And I have to say, the marketing for the Suicide Squad was very, very poor. It didn't even get me excited. I was obviously going to go see the movie because I'm a DC fan, but I wonder if that was where they messed up. HBO Max chief Andy Furcell revealed Sunday that The Suicide Squad boasted the second most viewing opening of any film premiere day and date on HBO Max, and I think number one was Mortal Kombat. So this is a big win for HBO Max. From a HBO Max point of view, The Suicide Squad was a success. It did pretty well. And you have to look at it this way, guys. When Warner Brothers decided to put all of their movies in theaters and on streaming the same day, they were prepared for a lot of losses because they understood that a pandemic was going on. But they had to see this way of doing business as a way to propel HBO Max as a streaming brand. Netflix, Amazon, Peacock make a lot of money from their streaming services, a lot. So HBO Max, even though it's losing money at the box office, it's also making a lot of revenue from streaming. And the way forward, guys, could be streaming. So Warner Brothers might not be too worried about the box office performance of their movies and be more happy because the streaming numbers are pretty high. More subscribers are coming in, more viewership is coming in, and in the long run, that may be more beneficial than the box office, because who's to say, guys, that the box office will recover and that we will get $1 billion film again or an $800 million film. Fast and Furious did well, that's a huge IP. Other than that, what other film did really well at the box office? Not too many if they would have come out pre-pandemic. So streaming could be the way forward, but again, The Suicide Squad maybe should have made more money. Maybe it should have made 40. I'm not too sure, but we'll have to see how it does in the opening weekends and if it will have legs going forward to make any money. But I think, in a way, they're more concerned with HBO Max numbers and viewership and subscribers, because that's a big way to make additional money, just like Netflix and just like Disney Plus. Because I think even Netflix was making more money than Disney was at the box office from their streaming revenue, which is insane. Disney put out so many movies and they all nearly crack $1 billion each time, and Netflix was still making more money than them, even though they don't put many movies out in theaters. That's just crazy. So HBO Max, for all we know, could be making Warner Bros. A lot of revenue in the meantime while this pandemic is going on. But still, I'm guessing they thought that The Suicide Squad, with James Gunn's name for Marvel, and that it's a superhero movie, would have did better at the box office. Maybe it should have, because Black Widow did very well. Fast and Furious did pretty well. A Quiet Place 2 did pretty well as well. So I don't know. I don't know if The Suicide Squad is a flop or not. The revenue from streaming could be pretty good, but again, the box office could have been a lot better. But guys, what's your thoughts? Is The Suicide Squad a flop? What's your opinion? Do you think they're more worried about HBO Max numbers than box office? It's very, very interesting, guys. Thanks for watching. Give a like, comment, subscribe, come follow me on all the social medias. Have a good day.